So please, I hate myself more than you can imagine, and I know I'm a scumbag, and a pause for this, but just need a place to dump my thoughts. I have been with my wife for 7 years and she changed my life. She is the most loving, caring, brilliant woman you could imagine and doesn't deserve what I've done to her and putting her through now. We have two wonderful children together, a 2.5-year-old toddler and a 3-month-old baby. She is the best mom and just amazing to our boys. I work as a prison officer and have done for 6 years. It is a very stressful job and I have seen and dealt with things people in their lifetime will never have dealt with. Just over a year ago, my life and headspace changed in work when I dealt with the most brutal and horrific death I've ever seen. I won't go into much detail, but it changed me and scarred me as a man. Instead of doing what I should have, seek her help and speaking to my wife, I instead bottled this all up and started to build what I can only describe as this other person I lived through. This person I will call Thing has no empathy, is full of ego, is full of I'm this big bad man and don't care about anything, and Thing consumed me. I shut off to my wife first off, stopped talking like I used to, stopped being caring, pretending it was all okay and I was this perfect guy when I for the past year have been a really bad husband and slacking father. I told lies to protect this image, making myself out to be a saint and such a perfect family man, an amazing person, when it was all a pathetic front. My wife and I, like any married couple, has our issues. She was being an amazing mom, spending all our time on our children, and I perceived this as a selfish idiot, not getting any attention myself physically, and what I thought emotionally, so distanced myself further. We used to have so much fun together doing everything with one another, but when our firstborn came, my wife's priorities changed due to her taking responsibility and care of our son, and mine was at the time focused on building this career to achieve as many promotions to set us off better financially, and kept telling her things will be so much easier. I achieved all these things, and if anything just made it worse, as I was so consumed by my work and my own ego I forgot what was most important in my life. To cope with this, I found a person who worked for me at work that showed me one slither of interest, and I jumped on it. I'd be lying if I say she wasn't attractive, and some of our messages did turn sexual, although never did it turn physical. But I felt like I could unload everything onto her and lose myself in this weird alternate fantasy. I did, and thought I was managing everything well, when in reality it was an absolute SHT show, and I kept lying to my wife about things getting better and I would improve. And things did get better, but I didn't stop messaging this person. Anyway, my wife needed my phone last week Thursday to order some bits, and then found all the messages and understandably was sick to her stomach and told me to leave. She did change her mind completely for the kid's sake, and we have started to talk and are booked into marriage counseling, which was supposed to be today. However, I collapsed on Sunday from a stress-induced seizure, and man, now suffering from panic attacks, and the fear of losing all of this through my own stupid actions is consuming me. My son saw this and it has traumatized him deeply, as he keeps running to his mummy now for mummy cuddles, which is a new thing. I feel terrible I've done this to him and my wife. Luckily my baby won't remember this, but what a horrific thing to put them through. My wife did an absolutely amazing job getting me an ambulance whilst managing two children. She rang my family for help and they were absolutely terrible and horrid towards her. All she was asking for was some help in an emergency situation, and everyone refused. Now I've had these issues with my family my entire life, as they essentially bulky and ridicule me all the time. But never did I expect in our time of need they wouldn't be there. My sister said some horrific things to my wife, and my dad was a complete narcissist, resulting in my wife handling it like a champion and just hanging up to deal with it. Her family couldn't attend due to her mammy, another amazing woman, being a cater to her 93-year-old nana, and her sister and Bill had a drink. She felt so alone and helpless, and I'm so ashamed and sorry for that. Luckily, her friend came around and was an amazing support, and my wife was able to put our toddler to bed and take a breather. I can see my wife is completely conflicted. I know there is a side that doesn't want to disrupt our boys' lives and possibly work on things, but I've driven her to feeling no self-worth, and she deserves so much better for her own sake. Every time I think of what I've done, I start to have a panic attack and seize up, and it feels like I'm going to die. I just her to realize how genuinely remorseful I am and how blind I was to the truth. But I don't want to force this narrative, as she has to make these decisions and is control. I wish I could turn back the clocks to a year ago and have taken that day off to be at home with her and my son at the time. I've been such a fool and want to prove I'm not that man and can be so much better than this thing I have been. What do I do? Any advice?